The latest choice of Long Island medium Theresa Caputo. Theresa Caputo, a medium from Long Island, has chosen an unexpected choice. She and her parents intend to leave their house. However, why did Theresa decide to do this all of a sudden? Theresa's new husband was actually unable to accept her parents. "You stay in your house. I am leaving with my parents," Theresa stated, clearly out of love and duty for her adored parents. Theresa hasn't made any formal announcements regarding this yet, though, so fans are left with a lot of unanswered questions. Rumors started to circulate among Theresa Caputo's close-knit group of neighbors and friends on a calm evening in Hicksville, Long Island. Theresa, who is well known to millions as the Long Island medium, had always told people about her spiritual and personal journey. However, this time the narrative was about a very personal decision that shocked her admirers and those closest to her, not about ghosts, tears, or healing messages from the other side. Theresa had just been married again. After years of emotional ups and downs, she had found a kind, soft-spoken man in Michael, her new husband. Everyone initially believed he was a blessing, giving Theresa a new beginning following her split from Larry. However, cracks quickly appeared. Even though he loved Theresa, Michael found it difficult to accept her parents' ongoing influence in her life. It might have appeared to be a minor problem to the outside world. However, Theresa's parents were more than just her family. They were the cornerstone of her identity. Her father's constant presence gave her courage when the emotional strain of channeling spirits became too great, and her mother's laughter had gotten her through the worst of times. They served as her safe haven and anchor. The issue reached a breaking point one Sunday afternoon. Michael, Theresa, and her parents were seated in the family living room. Tension permeated the air. While her mother, obviously uncomfortable, leafed through a magazine, her father sipped his coffee quietly. Michael tightened his jaw and sat rigidly. At last he said something. "I love you, Theresa," he replied softly. "I really do. But this isn't how I can live. Every day, every weekend, and every holiday your parents are present. This place feels like theirs, not simply ours." The words hurt. Tears filled Theresa's eyes, but these were tears of grief rather than rage. She turned to face Michael, the guy she had decided to begin a new chapter with, after turning to face her parents, two elderly souls who had given her everything. She was caught between two universes at that same moment. Her intuitive side, which had spent years crossing the gap between heaven and earth, recognized that this was a test of identity, love, and allegiance. For a time, she closed her eyes and listened to her own heart instead of ghosts. Her choice seemed evident as soon as she opened them. "I hear you, Michael," she whispered softly. "What you're saying makes sense to me. However, my parents are my life, my love, and my responsibility. I cannot and will not pick between them and you. I'll go with my parents if you don't think you can handle this reality. They are the first." There was silence in the room. Her father glanced down, obviously hurt that their presence had caused such stress, and her mother's eyes welled up with tears. Michael didn't argue, but he did shake his head slowly, his expression displaying frustration. Theresa's remarks reverberated in the quiet as he merely got up and left the room. Neighbors noticed Theresa assisting her parents in loading boxes into a moving van the following morning. It was about standing up for what she believed in, not about fleeing or ending her marriage. She would take care of them, live with her parents, and create a home where they would feel secure and cherished. News got around fast. Social media was inundated with queries and conjectures from fans. Was Theresa divorcing her spouse? Was this only a short-term plan? A few even speculated that it was a promotional gimmick for a forthcoming Long Island medium season. Those closest to her, however, were aware of this. Theresa had consistently advocated for the value of family, unconditional love, and respecting the bonds that define us in this life and the next. Her choice sent a strong statement in addition to being unexpected. Later following week, Theresa spoke to her closest friends at a small gathering. She did not provide information or disparage Michael. "Simply put, family is everything," she remarked. "And sometimes the choices that remind us of our true selves are the most difficult." Fans saw it as one of the few times when the Long Island medium's life mirrored the lessons she frequently imparted via her readings, that connections, love, and loyalty last forever, and that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to choose the people who have always chosen you. Even though Theresa hasn't made any formal announcements, the news of her recent choice is still generating discussion on Long Island and elsewhere. Would her marriage end as a result? Was that merely a pause? Time would tell. However, there was no doubt that Theresa Caputo would always follow her heart, even if it meant letting up of the life she believed she desired. But as the sun sets, the area is bathed in a warm, golden glow as the camera moves through the well-known streets of Hicksville, Long Island. Audiences hear the distinctive voice of Theresa Caputo narrating, "So many people think they know what happens when I connect with spirit. But let me tell you, there's always so much more behind the scenes." In this part of my journey, I'm about to take you through some of the most emotional, surprising, and healing moments that happened during Series 5, the ones you may have missed, or maybe didn't fully see. Theresa enters a tiny, family-run bakery as the scene changes. After their father passed away suddenly from a heart attack, the owners, Anthony and Maria, had gotten in touch. Due to unresolved family issues, they hadn't had a serious conversation in about a year. Theresa sat them at a table in the corner, closed her eyes, and put her hands on the flour-dusted table. "I'm hearing the name Frank. He's telling me he was stubborn, and he says he never got to say goodbye to you all properly," she whispered quietly. Maria covered her mouth in a gulp. Tears clouded Anthony's eyes. The ghost of their father started talking about how he still walks the bakery every morning and how the scent of freshly baked bread and the warmth of the ovens were all familiar to them. Both of the siblings started crying as Theresa repeated what he had said, and they reached for each other's hands for the first time in months. In addition to confirming his existence, the spirit had also repaired their relationship. Later, the camera panned to Theresa as she sat in her car and thought, "That's the thing about spirit. They don't just come through with messages of love, they bring families back together. Sometimes, the healing is bigger than what we expect." The show then transported viewers to a private home reading. Holding a framed photo of her late husband, Daniel, a firefighter who died while on duty, Jessica, a young mother, sat tensely on the couch. Immediately behind Jessica, Theresa sensed the weight of a man standing guard. "He's telling me he still kisses your daughter goodnight. He says you think you hear footsteps in the hallway, that's him," Theresa laughed. Jessica started crying. She discounted the small creaks she had frequently heard outside her daughter's chamber as being in her head. She went on, "He shows me a birthday cake with 3 candles. Does your daughter just turn 3? Stunned, Jessica nodded. "Yes, yesterday." Jessica found solace in the spirit's words, which reassured her that Daniel had never really left. She acknowledged that she felt hope for the first time in years. When Theresa went to a community center to attend a group reading, the atmosphere changed. There were dozens of people present, each with their own problems and unsolved issues. A man in his 40s with his arms crossed and doubting Theresa's gift was captured on camera. She was attracted to him right away. "Sir, I don't want to embarrass you, but I have to say this. There's a young man here who passed tragically, and he's calling you Dad." The man's jaw shook as he froze. He had not discussed the death of his teenage son in a vehicle accident 2 years prior. Theresa revealed information that no one could have known, such as the broken wristwatch, the manner he whistled tunes while driving, and the moniker Champ. The father's doubts were shattered as he sobbed in front of the audience. His son encouraged him to live anew and quit blaming himself, telling him through Theresa that he was at peace. As the mending spread beyond a single individual, the entire room became emotional. Theresa addressed the audience directly with her thoughts in between scenes. "Every reading takes a lot out of me, but it also gives so much back. People don't realize that I don't just deliver messages. I feel the spirit's emotions, their regrets, and their love. That's why every season is full of moments that change people forever, including me." The program later revealed a sweeter, more humorous side. Theresa read aloud to her daughter Victoria during a little backyard cookout that she threw for her family. Joking about her overcooked pasta, their late grandma reminded everyone that what matters most in life is family, love, and laughter. With Theresa sitting peacefully in her reading room, surrounded by candles, the season's high point came to an end. She addressed the audience directly. Maybe you didn't see every tear that was shed, every laugh that broke through grief, or every hug that came from forgiveness. But trust me, Spirit was there in all of it. And if you take anything away from what I do, let it be this: your loved ones never really leave you. They walk with you, they guide you, and they love you in ways that go beyond what we can see. The Words Series 5, Part 1, A Journey of Spirit and Healing, appeared on the screen before it faded to darkness. But Theresa Caputo was getting ready for another group reading on a warm September afternoon in Long Island. Everyone in the room was grieving: spouses, parents, siblings, and friends who had all lost a loved one. They sought not just clarifications but also tranquility. Bright, kind, and yet rooted in the gravity of her work, Theresa's enthusiasm was evident as she entered the room. As usual, she clarified that she has no idea what spirit will appear or what message will be sent. The anticipation increased as the room fell silent. Theresa felt a sudden surge of heat, almost like smoke, flooding her chest as she closed her eyes. She held her throat as she let out a faint gasp. Someone is showing me a building, a really tall building here, and I can hear the commotion and the sound of glass cracking all the time. September is what they're saying. September. The whole room went cold. With tears already forming in her eyes, a woman in the second row covered her lips with her palm. Theresa gestured in her direction. May I come to you, honey? Since I am aware that this has something to do with you. The phrase "I didn't suffer" keeps coming up. I wasn't by myself. The woman's voice was shaking as she nodded. On September 11th, 2001, my sister Anna passed away in the North Tower. The 102nd floor was where she worked. Theresa gently grabbed for her hand. She is present. She is so radiant and strong. She wants you to know that an overpowering aura of love, rather than fear, surrounded her in those last minutes. She claims that as soon as the building trembled, angels arrived to get her. She tells me she didn't experience the agony you've been imagining for years. The woman started crying and sobbed into her hands. She had carried the picture of her sister in pain, scared and alone, for more than 20 years. Theresa went on. She keeps showing me a photo of you with a candle in your hand. Is that something you do annually? A vigil by candlelight? The woman gave a brief nod. Yes, I light one for her on September 11th every year. She claims that when you light that candle, she is right next to you. She also likes how you whisper her name before saying it aloud. She wants you to know that she's paying attention. Each and every time. There was utter silence in the room, and several people were wiping their eyes while listening. Theresa hesitated then. Her expression relaxed, as if she were paying close attention. She's introducing me to a young boy. Is a son involved in this? She claims to have met him. The woman let out a gasp. In 2003, my son was born. He was never able to meet Aunt Anna. Theresa grinned broadly. She is aware. Since the day of his birth, she has been by his side. She claims that he has her grin and asks you to let him know that she is pleased with the sketch he did of the school towers. She witnessed it. The mother started crying more intensely, as if she couldn't believe it. He drew a picture of the Twin Towers for his history class just last week, but I kept it a secret. Theresa squeezed her hand and leaned in. That's her way of confirming that she's still involved in your family's lives, honey. She has never missed a significant event, whether a birthday, graduation, or even that photo. She claims that you feel bad about not being able to call her that morning. However, she wants you to let go of that guilt today. She claims that you made an effort and that people felt your love. The woman wept and shook her head. When I saw the news, I made 3 calls to her cell phone. I wondered if I could hear her voice, if she simply picked up. With a soft interruption, Theresa's voice broke with passion. She's telling me that you did connect with her, not over the phone, but with your spirit. You were heard by her. Your love travels faster than any phone call, and she wants you to know that. And your voice and heart were the final things she took with her. Now, everyone in the room was crying. Some, moved by the message's impact, held hands with strangers by their sides. Theresa inhaled deeply. She's bringing up a piece of jewelry as well. A necklace? Unconsciously, the woman stroked her chest and took out a silver necklace that had a tiny pendant of a heart on it. She owned this. I put it on every day. Theresa grinned. She claims that before you leave the house each morning, she gives it a kiss. She uses that to let you know that she still looks out for you. She promises to keep an eye on your family. Don't remember me for the way I died, honey, is what she wants me to leave you. Keep in mind how I loved you, how I smiled, and how I lived. The woman nodded, crying, but now her eyes were forming a grin. That sounds just like her exactly. The room's energy changed. It felt lighter, as if a healing presence had actually touched everyone there, rather than weighted with grief. She's at peace, and she wants you to be at peace too, Theresa said as she gave the woman a deep hug. Theresa thought back on what had transpired as the session came to a conclusion. Moments like these humbled her even after years of doing this profession. In addition to providing consolation to a distraught sister, she served as a reminder to everyone present that love endures and that despite one of the worst catastrophes in history, the human spirit endures. The woman left with her necklace in hand, her tears filled with relief, hope, and a profound sense of connection rather than just sadness. Anna's spirit was grinning somewhere beyond the veil, finally being heard, felt, and remembered for all time. But the air was crisp but not cold, and the scent of falling leaves wafted through the air on this breezy autumn afternoon in Long Island. After finishing a private reading, Theresa Caputo's aide entered the room with a tentative expression. There's a family outside, Theresa, she added quietly. Although they didn't have an appointment, I believe you should meet them. The youngster appears to be around 8 years old. According to his parents, he hasn't said much since his sister died. They are in a grave situation. Theresa hesitated, experiencing the well-known tug in her chest. She was aware of Spirit's attempts to attract her attention, and she sensed that this wasn't a coincidence. She nodded, brushed back her golden hair, and inhaled deeply. She urged them to come in. The family came in a few moments later. With eyes swollen from weeks of sobbing, a weary-looking mother and father clutched the little boy's shoulders tenderly, as though he could shatter. Daniel was his name. He avoided Theresa's eyes by holding a battered teddy bear in his hands and lowering his head. Theresa lowered herself to his level and murmured, "Hello, sweetheart. Theresa is my name. You don't need to be scared. All I want to do is assist you in speaking with your sister." The boy's mouth quivered, but he remained silent. Rather, he grasped the teddy bear more tightly. After exchanging anxious looks, his mother muttered, "He hasn't said her name since the funeral." Theresa sensed the change in the room, which she always referred to as spirit energy. She touched her chest with her hand. She looked at Daniel and said, "She's already here. Your sister told me that she enjoyed braiding your hair occasionally," she laughed. "Or, even though she wasn't very good at it, at least try." The boy's head raised slightly. His gaze wavered in astonishment. "Honey, does that sound familiar?" Theresa inquired. Daniel's voice seemed almost too faint to hear, like a whisper. "She used to ruin my hair. Her name was Emily." The mother's hands flew to her lips as she gasped. Her cheeks were wet with tears. Theresa grinned broadly. "I appreciate you telling me her name. Emily is overjoyed that you stated it aloud." The boy's shoulders trembled, and he sobbed a little for the first time in weeks. "I miss her." Theresa gently extended her hand. "She wants you to know that she is still with you even though she misses you too. She claims that when you hug the teddy bear at night, she sits beside your bed." "Daniel, did she give you that bear?" The boy's eyes widened as he nodded rapidly. "I received it as a Christmas present from her. It would protect me," she said. Theresa agreed in a calming voice. "That's exactly what she's telling me. She claims that whenever you give that bear a hug, you are also giving her a hug. And when you're feeling down, she wants you to talk to her. Honey, she can hear you. You are no longer required to remain silent. The boy's lips quivered once more, but he spoke louder this time. His parents sobbed into each other's arms as his words, "Emily, I love you," permeated the room with honesty and rawness. Theresa suppressed her own emotions and gulped hard. She informed Daniel, "She just kissed your cheek. She expresses her pride in your bravery. She wants you to continue playing soccer and drawing her portraits as you once did. Are you going to help her with that?" Daniel nodded and gave a small smile despite his tears. Yes. It seemed as though a burden had been removed from everyone's shoulders as the intensity in the room subsided. Even though Theresa could sense Emily's spirit waning, she left one last message. "Tell him that he is my idol." Daniel smiled for the first time since she had known him when Theresa repeated the words. At the conclusion of the reading, the young child was humming softly to his teddy bear while cuddled up in his mother's lap. "You've given us our son back," his father said in a murmur as he clutched Theresa's hands. "No, sweetheart," Theresa responded with a smile and a hint of her Long Island accent. "Emily, that was all." Theresa had a moment to sit quietly and think as the family departed. Even though she had seen innumerable readings and messages, there was something about assisting a child in saying farewell that moved her more than words could express. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Mina, and I hope you're having a great day. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the video.